a copy of those habits. I've got some handouts here. They are on the back of the habits. Is that I've put a very subtle advert with some of the things that I do, because I'm running a project management workshop on the 23rd of February, and I do recommend that you come along to that. It's going to be fun as well as very informative. The last time I ran it, the feedback I got was that it was more useful than any project management course the attendees had ever been on, including internal courses. One of the quotes here. I also do project management mentoring. I generally don't run projects for people because it's actually more useful for me to impart my skills to you. So are there any questions?
Does a good project manager have to be a good people person?
Yes. Good. You can't be an effective project manager unless you've got good people skills. You think you're in a particular situation?
With the system that I've got about people working together, what I find in a lot of case studies and things is that actually the project managers, people who are working well in those situations, are actually women.
Women?
A bit annoying. I'm just saying what I'm seeing. People need to be able to listen and collaborate, and so women are coming to the fore in this situation. I'm not saying that's how it should be. I'm not saying that that's a better thing or whatever. What I'm saying is just what I'm seeing. And I'm asking you, what do you think about such a thing in the week that we've had?
I would just respond to that. My husband's a project manager and he's very, very good.
I have to be honest, working in the IT industry, most of the project managers I've worked with are men. I haven't noticed any particular predominance between women working better or men working better. The skills are just so varied. It depends, because one of the other skills that a project manager needs is to be able to talk to his staff in the language that they understand, because that's part of the building a relationship and the rapport. So it depends. Okay, any other questions?
Far less interesting than this contentious. I'm hoping that if not you, Jacqui, there's somebody in the room might be able to help. I work from a man myself for Jules in corporate thinking. And obviously, when I'm working with projects, clients are running MS projects. I've tried downloading Learning and the two aren't compatible. Is there a viewing platform for horizontal documentation collaboration software that would allow me to read Microsoft project plans from the Mac in some kind of viewer license without having to buy the full, well, even if I bought the MS license, it wouldn't run from the Mac. So, as I said, not that interesting.
I don't know the answer. Is anyone else?
Has anybody got the answer to that question?
There is a viewer for the Windows architects who would view the Mac, and it's completely free.
Actually, if you have the answer, I'd quite like to know that too. Just in case someone else asks me that question. Okay, any other questions?
It's more of an observation, really, from quite a lot of IT projects. When you get the Mrs. Dither situation, i.e. the project scope, suddenly gets redefined for you because a whole load of new requirements come in. It's then being able to put that back to the business and getting that financed properly, because otherwise you get project overrun, cost overrun, and it's seen as a failure of the project when actually your scope has been changed by the business, but it's not been costed back into your project. So that's really an observation that any good project manager must sort of put it back to the organisation and say, to do this, it's going to cost this much extra time on the project. Mr. Difficult,
Mr. Bully.
Mr. Bully, you're just not going to make that. We're not going to make that deadline because of all these changes that are going into the project. Therefore, don't get upset.
There's two elements to that. One of the most important things is understanding what the real business goals are, not just what Mr. Bully tells you they are. Because quite often, particularly if you're working in an IT project or you're doing a project on behalf of somebody else, is that the business sponsor often doesn't know what these requirements are. You have to ask a lot of questions to make sure that you really get those goals properly nailed down and that you get what the priorities are nailed down, because then when you get Mrs. Diller asking a question or coming along with new requirements, you can then say, you've got something against which to balance it and say, well, okay, that's what you said the scope was. How will this help deliver this? The other thing you need to have is a very good change management process, so that you can deal with that. For anyone who's interested in scope creep, I've actually written a blog about the scope creep, because we all get them on projects. I do actually blog quite a lot on project management. Okay, thank you for that question. I mean, that observation was really good.
Mine's just a little observation more from not so-called project management, but in a company where we were creating new products to get more cash flow, to get new customers. And often you've got the classic situation where the technical people want to refine forever, the salespeople were in the driving force role, and it was a question of weighing it all up. And just to say, it's quite difficult to keep, the good of the company. I'm not talking, this is just in an SME environment really, just to keep the good of the company at the fore and balance, yes, we're going to that exhibition in Asia in September. And I just think, it is, what you're talking about is actually, it's part of every single decision really made in business and all the time.
I mean, it's true. Project management is hard work. There are two ways about it. But if you get the habits right, is that it does actually make it much easier.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jacqui Hogan.